Fox News host Tucker Carlson on Tuesday accused National Security Advisor John Bolton of attempting to embroil the U.S. in the war with Iran. On his show Tuesday evening, Carlson argued that the top Trump aide was intentionally escalating tensions with Iran in order to provoke war. More than anything in the world, National Security Advisor John Bolton would love to have a war with Iran. It would be like Christmas, Thanksgiving, and his birthday, all wrapped into one, Carlson asserted. Mercifully, John Bolton does not control the military. President Trump does, Carlson added. The question is just how influential is Bolton in the White House? Carlson then played a clip of Trump denying plans to send more than 100,000 troops to the Middle East to reinforce U.S. interest against Iran. So obviously this is very fluid, but the broader question remains unanswered. How is a war with Iran in America's interest in any way? They're going to talk about this gas. Who actually, I'm going to read their quote. They say, so Douglas Macgregor said there's no evidence Iran wants to attack us. Quite the contrary. I think they'd very much like to avoid any conflict with us under any and all circumstances. Macgregor went on to predict that Trump would lose to a Democratic presidential rival in 2020 if he followed Bolton's lead on Iran. I do not see the president gaining from this, but I see that he loses. I don't see how he gets reelected. I don't see how he achieves anything in the Gulf that is positive for the United States and the American people. This is absolutely correct. Both of them just entirely accurate. If I were to name the top 10 foreign threats to the U.S., Iran would not be among that list. But this is how it goes. The U.S. picks countries that it has no kind of partnership with, and there's like there's usually, so with Iran, we're opposed to them almost entirely based off of their archenemy Israel being the Israeli government being an ally of the U.S. government, and so we in our bootlicking fashion have to support our ally, and that's part of the reason why there's nothing, as they say in these comments, nothing to be gained from this conflict except appeasing the ally of Israel. And again, it's not the people there; it's Netanyahu and his cronies. But it's stuff like this that kind of disappoints me about right wingers, because I said before that if you want to have an anti-war discussion where we just sit here and we go, okay, this is bad because you've seen all these different casualties, the U.S. is going out of its way to pick fights with places that have done nothing to us. That's terrific. That's something I welcome, and that's the type of dialogue I'd be interested in engaging in. But what I oftentimes see when it comes to Trump supporters that claim to not be in favor of the 7 wars that we're currently engaged in, or any other possible interventions, is a list of people who just sort of they give nice lip service to the idea of, oh yeah, Iran hasn't done anything to us, but the president thinks this and he's trying to stop the conflict like this. It's like, look, you're not going to send 100 troops to some other country or to some other part to near that particular country and tell me you're not trying to provoke a conflict. Could you imagine if North Korea did that to the U.S., where one day you wake up and you've got like, what, 100 troops in every state from North Korea? Like, just the common sense that evades them. I realize it's not about these people being stupid. It's about refusing to wake up and accept the fact that the person you voted for just doesn't care about trying to end or not have conflicts. They like to bring up North Korea so much because it's the only place in the world that he's tried to have any kind of quote unquote peaceful negotiations with. You got out of the Iran deal that all these other countries were with the U.S., and then when the other ones stay in and you get called the rogue state and critiqued by those abroad, it's some big shock, because the narcissism of the U.S. being the superpower has convinced people here that anything that the people in charge of the American government say uh, is somehow smarter or more accurate than the rest of the world coming together and saying that's false or that's wrong. I'm not going to believe a deal is bad in the case of the Iran deal because my country pulls out of it, or at least its government does anyway. But then 4 separate, the other countries involved all stay in. Stuff like that, I don't buy. But see, these are the kind of things that show how dumb the U.S. is and its leadership. You don't want to have a war with Iran. These people will claim, right? Not Carlson himself. I'm not talking about him, but just these different officials will say we don't want war with Iran, but then we pull out of an agreement that was designed to precipitate peace that you spent your entire time attacking because you wanted to be, let's just call it what it is, friendly with APAC and all these other little pro-Israeli government groups that intentionally designed it to where they can pick apart the Iran deal in 1,000 different ways, but they can never offer a solution of their own to stop this conflict with Iran for that particular purpose because it's not convenient to Israel to be in that agreement or do anything having to do with peace with Iran. And I wish that was talked about more by these different, hosts like Tucker. But I expect on Fox they're not gonna ever go after, just like the bootlicking that we do for Israel and Saudi Arabia. So it was a good comment. It's always a nice thing to see someone just actually say what is correct, like especially when it's on the other side, because I get so used to just me and my little group of people who seem to know what's going on, and like everybody else is just caught up in either loving Trump or despising every single thing he does. So it's good to see this.